As far as the actual report, then you can go back and analyze your findings, and then there are specific videos, there are specific strategies that are your next steps. So it is very intuitive when you are in that assessment period, and then to go back through that assessment period and continue to analyze where you are, where you're headed, and celebrate where you've come from. In particular, I just want to mention as well that, as the team stated, marrying this within the strategic plan and how it relates to high reliability schools was a necessity, because if we have these three separate buckets, we were not able to move forward and make sure that all arrows pointing in that same direction. So the concept of being future ready is what's driving us, and then right behind that is then how do we get there within the strategic plan and the HRS framework.
So in order to be a League of Innovative School District, which is a highly competitive process in the United States, you would have to be all aspects of future ready there and ready to go. So with the assessment, where are we at with
I will get you an update of the assessment itself. I know that we were rating fairly well. Do you recall exactly what our results were as of the latest?
If infrastructure was strong, data and privacy is something we're still developing and working on. The personalized learning was when we first started doing it. Personalized learning was definitely not a strength of ours, but that is definitely an upswing and actually on the stronger side. And like you said, with Plato now becoming a part of what we're doing in regards to offering those credits to students in a personalized fashion, that's going to be a big one. So those type of things. But yeah, data and privacy was one of those that we were working on, and then also so those were the two that will definitely be the ones that we have moved along in time, and hopefully that will help us move forward towards being considered for the League of Innovative Schools for sure.
So what's the timeline for that?
The timeline for the League of Innovative Schools.
Future.
We will be redoing our assessment this summer, and then getting our plan in place for moving forward. The good news is, because we continue to keep an eye on that assessment, and we very carefully follow through what those strategies are for next steps based on where we are, we know we're headed in that right direction, because they have a leading practices in there. So for instance, with the budgeting, with the data and privacy, which is why the team has mentioned some of those next steps specifically about how we're going to secure those things digitally, how we make sure that we have the proper filters in place and what types of filters. So this summer you will have that updated report. And I think it's going to be very beneficial to show you where that originally started and kind of the timeline and where we've been and where we've come so far. And then, of course, where we're headed.
And this is no cost to the district.
This is no cost, correct? Yes.
So what's the, who supports future ready? Where did it come from?
This is coming.
I mean, I know, but
Yes, well, this is coming from Digital Promise, and the idea again behind making sure that students in the digital age are prepared for that global market as citizens as well as employees, and they're implementing all things within the school framework again that is not preparing them for our past but their future. So considering where the global economy is headed, considering how technological innovation has advanced in the workplace, and making sure that our kids are college and career ready for those very things.
So Digital Promise is
It's a not-for-profit, and they are specifically, if I look that up exactly, they do a lot of work for schools. They will provide a lot of opportunities that are for professional development. I'm going to read their mission statement here. Educational leaders, researchers, and technology developers to improve learning opportunities to eliminate the digital learning gap. And it then says specifically, all learners have equitable access to technology when everyone participates and everyone learns. We benefit from a more engaged, informed society.
and it's a huge group of us.
It is, yes.
That is an honor, and it is free. And it's the resources that they have in there, like you said, for each step when you take the assessment, if you're not there, there's videos, there's best practice, leading practices, articles and research base where you can look at what do you need to do to get to that step, and it's already there for you.
And we found a lot of mentors through being a part of Digital Promise and the Future Ready framework. Again, some districts that we visited, other districts that we contacted over the phone that are in other states or other parts of the state itself, and we've had a lot of opportunities. Dr. Stevens and I have partnered with various superintendents across the nation, looking where they've been, where they're headed. And again, that was something that we reached out to superintendents across the nation who implement high reliability schools and are in the League of Innovative Schools. Because again, we needed to make sure that our school improvement plan, our high reliability schools plan, the strategic plan, and Future Ready is all encompassing.
Digital Promise and Common Sense Media are the two big go-to places we go to. Obviously, in the instructional side and digital, the concept of is Digital Promise. Then Common Sense Media is obviously the digital citizenship side, which are the two big components that we're concerned about with our students.
So at this point, is there a correlation between districts that have implemented this to successful, or should it be districts?
At this point in time, the achievement correlation is that idea of going from what was just simply differentiated instruction, but now to actually personalized learning, where the learning is on demand, anytime, anywhere, at each individual student's pace. So one of the opportunities we have at the district level that is increasing our achievement patterns with individual students, and we're seeing that on the district level as a whole, is through NWBA, where we have the opportunities through Study Island as well as Khan Academy. What happens is our students' results are automatically uploaded in the individual pathway for those students based on their academic targets, their independent learning level, as well as their instructional level is already mapped out for that individual child. Again, going back to the idea of taking away the limit of the brick and mortar, where these students are then going home and their homework is oftentimes really pushing their independent level, but still being appropriate that they're not learning new material while at home. It's that review process. So it is very research driven, and I will tell you the biggest component in the personalized learning is that there is no guesswork, and so student achievement tied to personalized learning takes away the guesswork for the teacher because it already drills down based on that digital assessment. And as we know, that's nationally normed, and again, keeping our students competitive and making sure that it's equitable, but also that all students are having access to rigorous curriculum.
And we're getting feedback from even our students in regards to that. For example, when I was a student, when you guys were a student, if you were a gifted student, your enrichment was you got 30 more math problems. And it was the exact same 30 math problems. Our students who are the enrichment students now, we're getting a lot of feedback of, man, this is so much more difficult. This is so much more stretched. And the reason why is because with the RIT scores through NUIA, then levels those students through IXL, Khan Academy, it starts to give them some problems in math if they were a fourth grader that are starting to look at fifth, sixth, and seventh grade. So changing the leveling of those students so that they're actually stretching their learning. Whereas a lot of times that enrichment would have been just, hey, we're going to give you a few more problems that are the same problems, just to extend the amount of time of work that you have instead of the level or difficulty of work. So that's been real helpful in regards to having that with the digital.
And I want to thank past board members who are not seated up here for the professional development that was so important as a board member to have and to go out and to seek what Innovative League of Schools is all about, and to go visit schools and to say, hey, this is going to be PTS one day. And this is something that was a huge focus for the school board. And this is the second superintendent who has helped bring this to fruition. It's a huge accolade. It is the best accolade in public education, the League of Innovative Schools. It's a very, very small group. And once that happens, you become a very, very competitive school district, and then the housing market will increase. People will want to come here to live. And, we can toot our horn all we want, But when we get accolades such as League of Innovative Schools, the Future Ready, the Digital Promise, and all the things that, high reliability schools, all those components start coming together and working, then our achievement results increased. And we went to Mentor, Ohio, one of the school districts that we looked at. And it was just amazing what they did. And I told Dr. Alanaz that superintendent at the time, I always remembered his name. And at the time, he was kind of like Dr. Alanaz is just kind of, starting this. He just recently got the accolade of League of Innovative Schools. That's why we went there to see what he did, how to get it. He is now looked at as a top 3 superintendents of the country. And he is no longer in Mentor, Ohio, by the way. And I told Dr. Alanaz that that's an accolade not only for PTS, not only for the internal stakeholders, the external stakeholders, but obviously for a superintendent. So that is a great, we're moving in the right direction. And if we could get that, and I know with your leadership, we're definitely going to be able to get that. And that will be a phenomenal accolade for Feather in your cap.
But we don't want you to leave.
No, but I'm just saying. They are very, very high, and you know this too, very highly recruited then at that point. So, thank you, and thank you for your staff following through with this. And I know it's a process, and it's been a long process, but it needs to be, and we are moving in the right direction, and we are accomplishing, and that assessment one day will be complete. And once we get that, they'll be knocking on our door to come and see what we're doing. And then I just want to ask, is any other Porter County school district doing this? Future Ready?
I know that there are other districts that are also engaged in the Future Ready framework. Their level of engagement or where they are in that framework, it tends to be a little different depending on what those areas of focus were. So for instance, with us, we're strong in the infrastructure component. As Mr. Lessig said, we're already ready for what is to come, studying up on those things. But I would argue also that some don't have the fortunate budget opportunities that Portage Township Schools does. So when you look at some of those things and how we can leverage those different cogs, I feel that we are in a very fortunate situation because this board has prioritized innovation in the district and instruction that is technology driven. And because of that, I would argue that it's assisted us in possibly being at least what I would consider a front runner because we're able to get a lot of those cogs going simultaneously. Everyone is pushing along and leveraging what they can with the resources they have. We're just very fortunate to have resources in each of those areas. So it's been very helpful.
And I remember even a superintendent who was a phenomenal superintendent from Illinois sat there and told you she tried many, many years and never gave up on League of Innovative Schools and just was never chosen. So it's, like you said, it is extremely a great accolade to get into, and we are going in the right direction. So it's exciting. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe I'll get Next, we'll move on to I'll just stay here. The ID department update.
Haven't seen you guys in a long time, so appreciate this time. Just sort of give you an update. 2 years ago, you asked me to take over the IT department, and that's a very big task. It's just it's daunting, just amazing what we've done in 2 years. I just want to give you that. I could not do it without my team. I'll be honest. I will put this team against any team out there. I will take them anywhere I could go and show you that they could do better than anybody else. They are phenomenal. They are learning. They contact me at night. Oh, I just learned this. It's like 9 o'clock at night. Can you please go to bed? But more important is I have a crew that I can call them at 6 o'clock at night on the phone, and they will pick up my phone call and talk to me about work because I didn't get to see them all. That's a dedicated team. Very dedicated team. So
I also just really quickly want to mention that the IT team was the first team that said, tell us about high reliability schools because we need to know where you're headed so we can support it and get it in front of it. And that was very telling to me as an incoming superintendent. So
we have staff meetings once a month. Our staff meeting started with this. We focus on the level 1, level 2, and level 3. How can we support safety and collaborative culture? How can we support effective teaching in every classroom? And how we can support parenting and viable curriculum. Those are the 3 things we have to focus on. And that was rough because, first of all, they're not educators. We call us the misfit of misfit toys. It's okay. I love misfit toys because we are just a unique group of people that our focus is what's best for kids. And it is what's best for kids, and you can tell with the tone of the kids, especially last year with our interns. So just a few, and I don't want to read all these, but you can take a look at all the projects that we did this year. These are projects. These are not tickets that need to be filled in for damages. These are projects that these guys did above and beyond the day. We're very proud of it. But one of the things is we had an initiative of 6 through 12 1-to-1 several years ago. This was the first year our seniors had their iPads. Me being an elementary person, I said that's not good enough. So we repurposed some iPads we collected. We made sure that every K-2 child has an iPad at their disposal every day. Every 3 through 5 has a Chromebook to their disposal every day. Every special needs classroom has an iPad as well. Every special any program has it. Our library has them in case they want to do makerspace. Our makerspaces have iPads and Chromebooks. We did not buy anything extra. We repurposed, we fixed, we cleaned. We bought a lot of cases because they weren't cased. So if Ms. Allen has came to me tomorrow and said, Dave, there's a snowstorm coming in. We're going to be closed for 3 days. Yes, ma'am. I can make a call to the principals. We could check out K-12, iPads, Chromebooks, and they'd be good to go. We could. 1-to-1. We could do that. We are cart-based for the elementaries. We actually are, I'll show you a little bit later, but again, a lot of projects being completed.
Before you go there, I just want to,
Yes.
I want to, in my mind, what is a virtual server?
Virtual server? Oh, virtual server. That's actually a server in one room, but it's not like a physical. It could be on the web. It could be out in space. Like our Power School is a virtual server, so it's out really at Power School.
So
So-
PTS has virtual servers.
We have some virtual server, yes. That's Mr. Ryan Gloss's that was his new toy this last year we built for him. But you'll notice we have replaced a lot of things. Now that 14 servers, if you think that in space wise, I saw that she was reading that. That's it's basically 8 foot high, 4 foot across, full of a bunch of hard drives. It's now 3 virtual servers that you can pick up and walk off with. That's what kind of technology we're into because we're studying. We're being better. We have to be future ready. We better lead the parade. So, and as you go, we rebuilt some wonderful things. We did. If you hear now, you can sit here and listen to the baseball game. That's because we said we had to put speakers out there. It was terrible. I go to a baseball game, I can't hear it. So now the kids do it. It was great. We got the speakers put at 3 o'clock. The press showed up at 3:30, and they actually could hear the lineup. We're like, close. So very exciting. Projects that are happening now. You'll see what's going on. This is what we're working on right now. This is what's going on now and during the summer. Quite a few products going on. We're getting new MacBooks for the teachers. We sort of shared that with them today. Their MacBooks are going to be repurposed for kids. We're replacing 10 to 13-year-old PCs that are in carts for projects. We're getting rid of those. Doing a lot of cleaning and fixing projects, rebuilding school maps. You never think that you need a school map until you don't have one. And so I got Frank over here. I taught him I go, let's get this little program started. He goes, okay, I think it's going to be difficult. This guy is like an expert at it. Him and Leighton, phenomenal guys working on these maps. So again, here's the data department. I have to throw one at them. They don't get this recognition. They're behind the scenes. They're the reason why the programs work. This is all the stuff they're doing. One of the things that I told them is that the data department, IT department, if we expect a corporation to go paperless, we have to go paperless first. And that was like Dave, but it's very important. We're doing it. Dorothy's got us down, I think, POs and I think that's it, right? That and quotes, because we got to have those for finance. So that's pretty good, which is awesome. So again, we're doing a lot of work. Also, a lot of new programs have been put in place. You see those, Care Docs, which is a program for our health. We're doing that. We had OCR Web. And if you remember right, 2 years ago, we had an OCR complaint about our website. So we have received a letter last month. We are in compliance now, which is phenomenal. But again, a lot of things we're working on in the data department. Just to give you a little idea, because I sent you I believe last month the one-to-one devices. Just sort of my philosophy on the devices, just to let you know. And, elementary, I think should be saturated. There should be a saturation. They should have access to as many things as possible. So they have Chromebooks, Chromeboxes, iPads, plus they have as many robots we could find. We bought them. So they have everything in their makerspace. And if the elementary says they need more, I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to find it for them. Dorothy's from the elementary as well. Her and I sort of work together. We take that money that we're given by you guys, and we stretch it to get as much as possible. We want our kids to be really ready to go. Middle school, we're one-to-one. We also have specialty labs. We have Project Lead the Way. We're working on those this year. We're probably going to replace those labs. If we get the common school on, we'll be replacing those labs. Instead of going with 15, we're looking at 30 in each of those, which will expand that program, so it's a little better for the kids. High school, again, one-to-one, but also specialty labs as well. So a lot of kids they need a right to get to technology. That's what we're doing. We have some more things to do. We have a lot to do, but we're getting there. Data closet, probably I'm going to focus on just the data closet. This is sort of what we're doing. For those who don't know what a data closet is, it's the backbone. If it doesn't run, you don't have internet. You don't have NWA. You don't have anything.
I think we can visualize.
Yes.
that
Yes, you can. I have some pictures for you. So, and you guys probably saw these already, but on the picture on the left is what it used to look like, and the picture on the right is what it looks like now. So that one's not quite done. That's Willow Creek. But this is our Taj Mahal. On the left, you look at that room. You could barely walk in that room a year ago. And little by little, we now made it what it looks like on the right. Now, it's not that we've got rid of a lot of stuff. What we've done is we've become better consumers of our own devices. We are better at what we do. Our goal was to get the electricity down for Dick, and we've done that. We now have people that actually come in here from other companies because their stuff's connected to it, and they go, "This is incredible." That's what we want, because we want other people to come and study what we do. We said in 3 years, we want to go to Portage and say, how does the IT department do it at Portage that they don't do anywhere else? But that's our goal. Just like, innovative learner, future ready. We are the biggest Porter County school. We're a $1 billion industry. We need to start running it like it. So that's what we do. This was our pride and joy over while you guys were all on vacation one day. We came in. On the left was a closet in a custodial closet, so it was stored next to a sink. That's our old phone closets. And then you look on the right, it's up in the air, it's safe, it's secure, and there's nothing there. All our phones are going to be on the internet. We're getting rid of the old lines. Phenomenal. That's incredible, just to get it that far ahead. So again, a lot of things going on. Really excited. Here are our summer projects to start this. We can't do any of this except for you are allowing us to have interns. We have, I believe, 8 who want to return from last year, which we only had 12, so that's pretty good. And I think most of those kids graduated. So most of them want to come back. We didn't scare them off. And what's really cool was last year, my crew, the first day I introduced the interns to my crew, the idea, they were a little scared. They're not in education. What are we going to do with these kids? They're kids. We got stuff to do. And then the first day, we sent them with Miss Kathy and Mr. Frank there to go wire a lab. They had never touched a wire before. They never did. By the end, they had them all wired up. Excuse me. So very nice to do all this stuff. So this will be going on this summer. A lot of projects. Another good thing, a nice thing we're doing is the music lab. That lab has been expired for many years. Piano lab, getting that thing. Frank has been working on a 911 audit, which is a big deal. Our phone audits. I mean, there's a lot of phones in this district, and he's walked every room. So it is a crazy project. And then, of course, this is all summer. I know we only got 50 days, right guys? 50 minus the 10 days, so we have a lot going on, but they're willing to take it on. There's not too many crews that would take that on. But one of the most exciting things we initiated this year was our professional development. This is one thing that Ms. Allen and I talked about. She said, Dave, do it like you do in your school. So as a principal, what would you do? You analyze where your crew's at. This is what we did. We analyzed where we're at. This is the things we put in place. Safety meetings, have to have them once a month. Our manager's in charge of that. Staff meeting, I'm in charge of that. Ms. Allen has come to those. She comes about once a quarter to work with us, work through, sort of sit through it. Twice a month, professional development. We have one individual professional development, and Mrs. Shannon has actually filled out a form where you have to fill out what you're studying. So we may want you to teach the group, and then we have a group session where we have different things. And Depot came and he did a Google, because if we have to support Google, we better know how to do Google ourselves. And our guys didn't. However, we built forms, and now they're forms. They do forms for everything now. Certified training, one of the things that we did, we've never been certified in a lot of our training. We learn it as we go. Thanks to Ms. Allen, she freed up some money. Frank and Kathy are going to be certified in phones, hopefully, sooner than later. And it's a big deal to be certified in that. One of the things we're doing is anything we're certified in, any license, anything that we have, once we get a location, we want them to hang those on the wall. We want people to walk into our IT department and say, wow, look at this department. They're certified in 15 different things, and they have this and they have that. And you know, you have a certified principal, and you have certified teachers who want to work with IT to what's best for Portage. And that's what I want to envision for that. Big radio project, you guys, thank you for that with the grant and all that. $150,000 project going to be going on this summer. It's big, very big. We just had a File Wave regional meeting. They've acknowledged that we are the place to be trained at. They want our facility. They're in the LGI room for half a day. Phenomenal. File Wave, for those who don't know, it runs all our iPads and our MacBooks, so we know where they're at. And then we attended the HEC conference. The last few years, we've got to go to that. So learn a lot of stuff very quickly. Your brain's numb after 3 days, but it's very exciting. So
Can you say what is it?
it is the Computer Education, I always call it HEC, that's why. Yeah, computer conference. So it's down, and what it is vendors from all over people from all over the state of Indiana come to it. In the past, we have not presented. We've had several people. I think, Mike, did you present before?
Yep.
Yeah, Mike's presented. I have not presented before. We've had other people present. Local people, a lot of partnerships with people. We can call them and say, hey, I'm having this problem. They'll say, they'll work with each other to get that solved. And just to let you know, we have 10 people in our IT department that do this. And we have 5 data people. We have 1 media person that does a lot of the security for us. And then this summer, we're going to have 2 ITSs work with us, and anywhere between 12 and 14 interns for 6 to 8 weeks. And it is an exciting time for IT. It's not where I want it to be, but it's getting there. I said 3 years. Ms. Allen said, give me 3 years. We're pushing it this year. I think we're gonna fight like cats and dogs this year. We're a big happy family, but boy, we fight when it comes to me pushing them. But it's good. It's an exciting time for Portage to get where we need to be for you guys and our kids. Most important thing is our kids. So, I think that is it for me.
Well, thank you, and thank you for going paperless with a lot of the documents that we get as board members. And I know that I just recently asked if you could please help paperless with the facility use. You can't read it. Depends on who fills it out. So I'm hoping that that's in process. And actually appreciate that.
I do have a question regarding the technology. Is there a technology plan in place yet, like for the replacement of our equipment?
That you're ready.
What I do is we've actually analyzed Jim Geis, who is our computer guru. He has actually analyzed the lab. We've identified the labs are at worst case. They're worse right now. It's terrible. They need to be replaced immediately. Those are on the common school loan if we choose to get it. If not, we'll make him work 1 more year because I don't know what he does. He sprinkles fairy dust on him to get him to work another year. iPads right now are in the common school loan. Each year we buy 6th graders a new iPad, and that should last us 7 years. That's stretching it, but it works well. Chromebooks, they have a lifespan on them, 2021. 2020 is our first batch, so see, Dorothy's got that already in place where she knows what year we have to replace those. And we try to do that, so we're planning out, actually, that's our goal from Future Ready, is also to plan out 5 years. I have capital projects planned out for 5 years, and that's all infrastructure and security. Because for those who don't know, IT, we do the computers now, but we also do smoke detectors, fire alarms, walkie-talkies, we did theater. We did the sound system, we did all that, so phones, if you can plug it in the wall, we probably worked on it. We also do all the media repair, so DVRs, overheads, things like that. So a lot of that stuff obviously it's leaving, it's not being used the way it used to be. But we still have to keep those up to date just in case. We did the LGI room. I don't know if you guys have to go see the new LGI room now that it's working 100%. Phenomenal space. 6 TVs, one's interactive, connects to all of them. We actually have cameras in there, so we could actually do our streaming right there from the LGI room when we start doing stuff like that. It's also compliant for hearing, which we have a hand for. We have microphones, and we also have hearing for hearing impaired. So, yeah, we work on it. Anything else I can help you with?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Yes.
I know that you said professional development.
Yes.
And is very, very important. And we're members of COSIN, right?
Yes.
And who is this? Who gets the information?
I'm the COSIN. So what we
I did
do,
it also.
yeah, and what we do with that, with the COSIN is that's what we started with for our infrastructure, is we took the COSIN survey, and so we sat down with the team the very first day. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go through this, and we got through the first 10 questions, we knew exactly where it was going, which has now focused us. So COSIN, I've also talked to the COSIN individuals about cybersecurity and also security as in physical security of the records department. He's a COSIN, because there's several awards that we can get through COSIN if we get there. We're not there yet, I'll be honest, I'm not even close. We will, my goal is for us to get there.
They also signed up for some optional auditing to be able to have them, and we don't know, we as a team do not know when that privacy audit will be done. Dave knows, and so then that way.
No,
Okay.
I let
So
Ron
you're
knows
like,
that.
okay, so again, with COSIN and with the DOE looking at, so that we can get those data and privacy awards and different things, they will help us get there, and it's free.
Yeah.
No,
So-
COSIN is great. It's another one of those
Right.
non-for-profit.
Right, and I joined a member, they pay for our membership, and it's very important, because one of the things is just simply reading the information from there. One of the things that came across the line you probably saw was actually a manual for the data, or over for the IT department, which we don't have. We have some piecemeal that we're working on. It is it's a high threat, it's very high. But I think along with Future Ready, it's very attainable. But right now, the security of the closet's first priority. Once that's done, we will be in much, much better shape physically. Just simply changing a lock so someone can't walk in, put a flash key into a closet, which we've fixed, but that was the very first day. You could wiggle the door and like, oh right, I'm in. And we don't want to do that. We want to be better than that, so.
And that's something that also with professional development with the school board, how important it is to, with typically at the NSBA, National School Board Association, there's always COSIN is always there with different
Absolutely.
programs, and so it's very, very interesting. I have a goal for you, Mr. March 16th through the 19th, 2020, Washington DC. I want you to be a presenter for your group at COSIN.
2020.
Setting the bar high.
Man,
A year.
a year.
Better get on that proposal.
Wow, man, a little pressure there.
I gotta tell you guys a couple of
That would be a great goal.
it would. When we went to Ivy Tech, Axel took us around the computer sciences, and he knows where I'm going with this. And he's moving stuff and showing where students were doing all the wiring, and you see Dave's lights go off because our closets didn't look like that. Our closets weren't that neat. And so he came back, and that's when you started seeing this happening. I also want to mention, this team will know what I'm referring to. I knew that it didn't work because it didn't work. And when I called Dave in with Dr. Stevens and I said, guess what? You're getting another department. And when he took that on, we have been down across the district one time based on the internet going down, and it was because of NIPSCO, not because of us. And that is huge. Our team, and you guys are shaking your heads because you know it's true, and our team, and I want to thank Dorothy, and I see Frank's here, and Kathy's here, and Shannon's here, and the rest of the team, because these people are boots on the ground. They show up in the classroom, they look at what the teacher is doing and why it isn't working. They are not people sitting behind a desk just telling you, well, it should be working. They are out there making sure that the students have what they need. And so I commend them. They are always one of those teams, and I will tell you, some of my other teams will say, why does IT always get the accolades? They're getting it done.
And Danny's not here and Matt, but those two guys are leaders. You know, I give them a project, and sometimes I don't know how to get it done. It's just, if it wasn't for this team, I wouldn't be standing here. You'd ask me to go back to a classroom, which would be fine. But I want to do what's best for Portage. These kids are our kids. My last group's graduating this year. The last of my fifth graders, and I see them now. It's like it's what's best for these kids. That's what we need to do, and that's why I say we're $1 billion industry. We invest in this. If we would stand tall and invest in this system the way we should, which we are now, I think we'll be where we need to be. As Chris said, we need to be somewhere. We need to set the star, set it out. So Porter County needs to be looking at us. Watch out. We're here.
No, most definitely, and that's what I was gonna say. They might be a little bit future ready doing some of the components, but not nowhere near what Portage Township Schools is doing. I wanna read something to you, and I think this is PTS, even though this is COSA. But this is exactly what this group has done and what you just presented today. So COSA is a consortium for school networking. It is a premier professional association for school system technology leaders. That's you. COSIN provides thought, leadership, resources, community, best practices, and advocacy tools to help leaders succeed in the digital transformation. That's what you guys are doing. We really appreciate it as a school board and the community also. With that being said, young man, you have a lot of VIPs here, very important people. Would you bring them up? Put them in a circle, somebody I'm sure would.
My crew days came here, come on up.
Take a picture.
Ryan, Shan, no, you gotta come up.
Come on, come on.
Rest of my crew's staring at home, so.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good job. You want a picture?
I think we're good, we're good. Thank you so much. Oh, that's true, we're good.
That's good, actually.
Yeah.
So, COSIN is a national accolade for a group. And that's, I'm glad to hear that we're definitely moving towards that, looking at getting those badges of honor also. We appreciate it. Next, we're gonna move on to the agenda adjustment. Does anybody on the board or the superintendent have an agenda adjustment? Hearing none, we'll move on to, I will make a motion to approve the personnel report for May 2019, the donations for May 20th, 2019, the claims report for May 20th, 2019, and the facility use report. Second. Questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Julie?
Yes.
Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee Bridgewater?
Yes. And I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 22nd, 2019, minutes of the public work session of April 22nd, 2019, minutes of the discussion meeting of May 6th, 2019, and minutes of the public work session of May 6th, 2019, and lastly, the executive memorandum of May 14th, 2019. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Filling?
Yes.
Trustee Grappos, yes. Trustee Morena?
Yes.
Trustee Portugal?
Yes.
Madam President, if I may, for the personnel report, we do have several retirees here this evening. And I would like to just take a moment, as the board had expressed, to please bring these amazing individuals forward. So we have Mrs. Beverly Munt, who has taught with Portage Township Schools for 41 years. If you come up, Bev. We also have Cynthia Stoich, 34 years. Cynthia here? Let's see. Donna White, she's not here this evening, 34 years. Daryl Schultz, he couldn't make it this evening, 33 years. Lori Litke, 31 years. Sylvia Kramer, 26 years. Rose Carlson, 22 years. Kim Milner, 15 years. We have Lenny Lasky and our support staff. He's unable to be here this evening, but 26 years. We have June Reinhardt, 33 years. Karen Smith, 23 years, and she's in a Cubs game. Deborah Slutko, 12 years. And Irene Flanagan, 18 years.
Thank you. That's great. We did that. And I would just like to say, Mr. Schultz, if you're watching, thank you for being a phenomenal math teacher. Thank you for being a great influence to my children. My daughter went into education because of Mr. Schultz. So, thank you.
Can we get a quick picture with them? Yeah, because they all have nice roses. Just can we get a quick picture with them?
You
They
can
just,
come up in the.
yeah, they've been waiting so patiently. Just a quick one.
That's just when you come back. 15 years.
Oh, no, you.
You guys give it a start.
Yeah, you'll pay the final cover us.
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
You want to take one with you, Dr. Allen?
Sure.
You part of it?
There you go.
I'm going to share this with Mrs. Devers Law to make sure.
Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you
very
very
much.
Mrs. Carlson had a wonderful send-off at the orchestra festival a couple of years ago.
Thank you so much.
This is Carlton with my high school orchestra.
Oh, there you go. And I think it's really important, we got to the end of the meeting for the IT department to get up here and be part of the peach jar and have a picture with the article that she's gonna do.
Yes.
I'd also like to say, thank you on behalf of all the students and families and staff, PTS. Each and every one of you have made a significant impact on children and families. Sometimes you don't even realize that one word, one sentence, one pause, one just lesson, how it impacts our children. And we appreciate that. And I also like to wish each and every one of you a very healthy and fun and exciting retirement. You deserve it. Yes, you do.
You can all head out.
And thank you all for your commitment to PTS. Great. Next, we're going to move on to board development, trustee Clancy, redevelopment commission.
I don't have an update on that as of now. And we did ask that I got information on their working budget and did receive that. So if I could just include that on that green email or should that be put in?
Yeah, you can send it to Dr. Allen and she can get it to finance.
Okay. And then my first finance meeting will be tomorrow.
Report out on the policy.
There's nothing to update right now on a policy. I think we need to schedule another meeting for the future because there are a couple of things that we want to add on policy.
Mr. Novetta,
Um,
department, buildings and grounds.
yeah, nothing from the park department since our last meeting, they actually moved our meeting up. The meeting is taking place right now, so I have this month, I'll get an update, what they talk about. Buildings and grounds, we did meet, we talked about some renovations, some different space, as well as some other, capital projects that will be taking place this summer. And then I also will be at the finance meeting tomorrow, so I'll give you an update.
And then as far as legislative.
15.
Yeah, do you wanna go ahead and get that, and then I might just wait since majority, all the board members, except I think Mr. Maleta went to the ISBA Region 1. I'll wait till the next meeting and to give it, because it is a long.
Literacy programs that work. Hi, I'm Lindsay Dworkin, and I'm joined by Ann Heislip. This question was posed by Representative Josh Harder this week in Newsweek. And while I couldn't tell you why Secretary DeVos would propose this cut, I can tell you that the House of Representatives rejected it. That's right, Lindsay. Earlier this week, the House Appropriations Committee passed legislation to fund the U.S. Department of Education for the next fiscal year on a party line vote. Overall, it would provide $75.9 billion to the department, nearly $14 billion more than requested by President Trump, who proposed to cut its budget by 12%. Instead, House Democrats increased the department's budget by 6.2%, $4.4 billion more than it received last year. Instead of the flat funding proposed in the president's budget, Title I, the largest source of federal funding for K-12 students from low-income families and special education, would each get a $1 billion increase in the House bill, for a total of $16.9 billion and $14.3 billion, respectively. President Trump had also proposed to eliminate Title II grants supporting professional development for educators and Title IV student support and enrichment grants. House Democrats, however, rejected those cuts, with Title II funded at $2.6 billion, an increase of $500 million, and Title IV at $1.3 billion, an increase of $150 million. And the literacy program Representative Harder asked about? Rather than cutting comprehensive literacy development grants, the House provided the program with a $5 million increase for a total of $195 million. But there was one noteworthy cut in the House Democrats' bill. Funding for charter schools was reduced by $40 million, a 10% cut, which many see as a signal of growing opposition to charter schools among Democrats. In addition to funding, the legislation also includes several policy directives. Notably, it directs Secretary DeVos to issue guidance clarifying that Title IV funds cannot be used to purchase guns or for gun training. And it directs the department to use $170 million for social emotional learning grants. It is important to remember that these dollar figures and directives are proposed by the House Appropriations Committee. They'll need to pass the full House and be reconciled with the Senate, which has not yet released a spending bill. Reaching consensus will be difficult as there is no agreement between the House and Senate or between Democrats and Republicans on how much should be spent this year by the federal government. So we're just at the beginning of what is sure to be a long and contentious process. Thanks, Lindsay. This month marks the 65th anniversary of the landmark Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision. Last week, the House Committee on Education and Labor held a hearing on the state of education since Brown. Committee Chairman Bobby Scott said, quote, "After 4 decades without federal support for desegregation, we are right back where we started." He cited data from the Government Accountability Office, showing that the number of schools where 3/4 of students are both low income and African American or Latino increased from 9% of public schools in 2000 to 16% in 2013. To commemorate the anniversary, we are launching a year-long campaign to ensure the nation pays attention to the unfulfilled promise of the Brown decision. In announcing the campaign, All for Ed President Deb Delisle said, on May 17th, public officials will issue statements and organizations will hold events to recognize Brown's 65th anniversary. But one-day events are not enough for the students who attend schools with leaky roofs, no heat, and not enough desks for every child. Beginning on May 17th and continuing every month for a year, All for Ed will share an issue and supplemental materials related to the unfulfilled promise of Brown versus Board. Join us at allfored.org/BrownVBoard or at #OurChallenge, That's all for today. For email alert when the next federal flash is available, email us at alliance@allfored.org. Thanks.
So it sounds like good news. Again, just number, it's gotta go through the Senate. They never release their numbers in the budget. We all know the party, so I would imagine that they would support the president, and you heard what he wants to cut, not decrease, but just cut. Okay, trustee Vasquez, PTF.
The regional meeting for the Indiana Association of Public Education Foundations met here in Portage on May the 8th. And some of the items that they discussed were starting a fundraiser, how to get corporate sponsors, connecting with the community. Actually, the reason that they meet on a regular basis in the different regions is to connect and share ideas. They also talked about payroll deduction, which I would like to take a look at in terms of how much money is generated through the foundation for that. And it was well attended. We were about 16 in attendance, and they represented areas such as Elkhart, Maryville, and Highland. They also were excited about some of the things that are going on here in the Portage Township schools. So that was meeting, like I said, it was on May the 8th. And then, of course, Mrs. Masuka gave us a brief overview about what happened on Friday with the Toast of Educators, which was held on the 17th. There were approximately 175 individuals that attended. And there were raffles, there were food items, beverages, baskets, music, and it was a really good time. And we thanked all the volunteers who assisted in so many ways, and they organized it. I mean, they met weekly, sometimes twice a week, to organize that special event. There were so many sponsors that we like to thank, and they donated gift cards, baskets. There were just a variety of items that everyone walked away with. It was really good. And again, thank you to Dr. Finley and Dr. Ellis for attending. And the board did donate an Amazon gift card for this event. And all the funds that were generated are going right back to where they should in the classroom. So I just wanted to thank everyone for their support. It's very unique and first time event. So it was very successful. Well, not for this particular one that is called Toast
I was gonna say, it's why I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
meeting and
Mhm.
2 or 3
But
times
it
a week to
took
get
a
it
little bit of
Yeah.
a different twist.
So, but we've had them yearly. We've had them.
Oh, yes, I know that. I'm just saying that the way it's set up and everything like that. It was really good.
Different people maybe overseeing it,
Mhm.
but the event, it's the name changed, but there's
Right.
always that yearly event
And
that's
Mrs.
been going on
Pachuca
since
did an
inception.
outstanding job in coordinating along with people on the committee.
So under old business advanced imaging update, I know that the board had requested that, Mr. Elwood,
Yes.
that you would get involved and take a look at that for us. Do you have an update or?
We had our initial meeting with Mr. Lesich and Mr. Grahn, and it was a very good meeting. They've got a lot of the legwork put together to be able to report out to the board. We plan on meeting again in 2 weeks. So hopefully maybe by the regular board meeting in June, we can have something ready for you.
And I do know that the board has requests to get information. What do we have? Where are they at? You know, what are we gonna keep? How old are they?
Yeah, so hopefully the result will be, well, the documents and information I saw was what we have when it was purchased. And they are developing a 5-year replacement plan. The good news is we actually have acquired quite a number of machines over the last few years. We've reduced them, the total number over since 2010, but we've acquired a lot since 2014. So with a lifetime expectation of between 60 and 84 months, if I remember the chart, we're in pretty good shape. So
So are we gonna look at attrition of the machines?
yes, it looks, I think the recommendation is gonna be replacing 9 this year. And then it'll be on a regular rotating cycle. And then also be an analysis of leasing versus purchasing. And then we talked about bidding both the service contract and the actual purchase, obviously. And bidding the service contract in a couple of different ways to see if there could be some price savings. So it was good, it was an excellent meeting. They've done a lot of their legwork already.
Thank you. Did you have anything, Dr. Allen? Move on to new business, superintendent's evaluation, Mr. Allen. Yes, you want me to?
I think that was just on for new business so that we can get a date scheduled.
Oh, I thought we were not doing the public hearing, no, because we didn't know. So do you want to, okay, so did we put it in the paper?
That will be for the June meeting.
That's, yeah, that was always, it should be on. I don't think so. It has been?
It's been put in the paper.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, so do you want to just explain the process of what
Oh,
we're at?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Deer in the headlight.
That's okay, apologize.
My fault. So there's a process. I believe it's publication for 2 separate meetings, 10 days apart. And Chris Stidham, when I was out for my father's funeral, sent you the notices and you posted them.
It's one notice
One notice.
and then a 10-day
Okay,
period after.
thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
know I read it somewhere. So at the June meeting, we will finalize that item. Sorry.
We'll have to have a motion to recommend to award the no lead and diesel fuel bid.
Yeah, so we opened those last month, and then this is the summary of those bids. And so there's recommendations within those. So if you're okay with those recommendations, just motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the no lead and diesel fuel bid.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Filling?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee.
Yes. Next, we'll need a motion to, for the food procurement.
So we are under contract through June 30th with Food to School Purchasing Cooperative. You guys approved a 1-year contract last year. In April, I believe you approved a contract for 2019-2020. These are the bids for bread and dairy. This is a new cooperative group. Chris Stidham from my office was assigned the task of working with our new food services director to make sure we are complying with best practices. We are. I'm happy to report she's very knowledgeable about procurement and the different programs. And so our old cooperative for these 2 items used to charge a fee. This one is free, and it has a much larger 75 schools versus 6. So we benefit greatly from with buying power, yes. So I would recommend that you approve Dean Foods for purchasing of dairy from Schenkel's Dairy and purchasing of bread products from Alpha Bakery.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of food procurement awards.
Second?
Mr. Elwood, do we have to add the food, the HPS, the DFS? You said the bread and the dairy.
Yes, I'm sorry, that one also.
Do you wanna amend it or?
Andy could amend it to include.
Yeah, I'll-
Okay.
I'll amend that motion to include, the food, dairy, and
So I have a couple questions because this has been brought to the board table before. So the question originally was, and it was my question, was, were we purchasing food correctly? Food service.
Yes.
And then I looked up at the federal level, the procurement statute, and then I know I sent that to your office, because it didn't look like we were. And we were not.
Correct, we were not.
We were not. So I know that that's been a task that the board has wanted to make sure that we were within the guidelines with food service and utilizing our dollars in the way that they're supposed to be used. And I appreciate you and Chris, Mr. Stidham, for going through that lengthy, huge statute, and looking at that and kind of doing some in-servicing, I guess maybe, say, but it's great now that we do have a food service director who does understand the federal guidelines for purchasing food and running a successful food service.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities out there for savings, and it seems like she's hit the ground running with maximizing those savings and using the right programs. And Chris had studied it himself, and then also checked with Julie Slavens and got her input for best practices around the state. And Chris was excited that she was very advanced in knowledge of those things already.
Thank you.
Well,
You know something's wrong when you're paying more than a small business like myself.
Yeah.
We pay through GFS for items.
Yeah.
And we've all seen those 110 pages of GFS pricing, so. Thank you.
understood.
So would you call the roll, please, Madam Secretary?
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Finley?
Yes.
Trustee Grasswood, yes. Trustee Maleta?
yes.
Trustee O'Connor?
Yes. Next, we'll move a recommendation. We'll need to approve the USW group contracts for custodial food service, support, and transportation employees.
Make a motion to approve the recommendation. Motion for the recommendation to approve the USW group contract for custodial food service, support, and transportation employees.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, so I'm happy to announce that you will not see a legal billing entry for negotiations for collective bargaining agreements for we have a 3-year contract before you for approval for all 4 groups. We were able to, which is historic. We've always had annual agreements. We've always had 2-year agreements at most with wage reopeners. And so to the board and to me, it seemed like we were constantly bargaining. And so these are, again, 3-year contracts. The bargaining was lengthy and delayed a little bit because of the U.S. Steelworkers commitments elsewhere, Pittsburgh, et cetera. But we got it done, and we had multiple executive sessions with the board to keep them updated along the way. I thought that went very well, and so I asked you for approval of all 4 contracts. They are retroactive to January 1st of 2019, and then through 2021.
And I would just like to say thank you to yourself, the superintendent, and the bargaining team for making sure that the board's directive of we are not bargaining anymore. It felt as though we were battling. And that's not something that we wanted to do. So we appreciate you taking the directive and making sure that we do have a solid 3-year contract. So once again, thank you all.
Yeah, and we had a great team. Dr. Stevens, Nick Gron, the finance director, and then each department or director of each department. So it was very good, good team, good group, and we met a lot. But it was good. And Sally Clark joined us once she joined the district.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Finley?
Yes.
Trustee Grasswood, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connor?
Yes. And I'll make a motion to apply for the common school loan. Give me a second, please.
Second.
Discussion?
I do have a question. This is just to apply for the loan, and we will get the details on what we're actually going to cover in this loan before it actually goes through. Am I correct?
if you look below in the attachment, it shows what those details are for the approval of. So this would be, let's see here.
Says primary focus of this loan to replace devices and various labs and cards within Portage High School, Bacon, and Willow Creek. The labs include Project Lead the Way, Business and Music. Additionally, the project includes funds to replace switches and modules as we seek to increase internet connectivity.
That's the issue.
You're not
I'm not
logged in,
executive.
you're logged in as a public.
I'm
You're
on the
not-
public site.
You're not in the authentic. Yeah, because those
Okay.
attachments are there. And just an FYI, whenever you do apply for a loan such as this, and most loans that you do get from the IDOE, you have to already have the money spent before they're gonna give you anything. You have to show where it's gonna be spent, I guess.
Yes,
And grants also.
and it does provide the breakdown, attachment A of the request for each lab, the cost, the quantity, and total cost, as well as attachment B, the breakdown of the timeline previously from where we were to where we are now.
Okay, I apologize, I
No,
wasn't
that's
in the
okay.
authenticated site.
That's okay.
And then once we approve everything tonight, then it does go to the public side. So,
Thank you,
unless it's confidential.
that's what I didn't see, that's
Okay,
why I
right.
didn't know. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Finley?
Yes.
Trustee Grasswood, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee Fishman?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the overnight field trip for PHS to IU Bloomington on 5/30 to 6/1/19, and for the track and field state championships. Second.
Second.
Discussion, call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Finley?
Yes.
Trustee Grasswood, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee Fishman?
Yes. Superintendent reports, Dr. Alamos.
A couple of good things that I wanted to share with you. First of all, for our students with perfect attendance, they're getting, this year, K-12 are getting an attendance prize tag with some
cute.
swag. And then moving on to next year, we will also be having opportunities where students improve their attendance and get
And that's what I
swag.
like to see.
So, this was kind of like I want that, and then we're gonna work with improving attendance as well. I just wanna mention that there's a small steel company in LaPorte, NLMK, and they donated all sorts of coats to us, and one of the things that they had suggested was being able to partner with us to increase attendance because they need increased attendance in their workforce, and so they donated $5,000 to fund our attendance swag bags. So, just a good opportunity, and of course, designed by our interns, and just a great chance to have kids around in the community promoting PTS by wearing our swag. I also wanted to share with you that we have the social emotional learning department with the Indiana Department of Education came to visit. In particular, when going around the high school with Mr. Wilson and coming back to meet me, she specifically said, you can feel a shift in the culture in that high school. She has expressed the student-centeredness of this district and said that we're getting it right. I will share her email with you as she had provided to Mr. Wilson. We're looking at hosting a regional meeting. She would like us to host that because Mr. Wilson has somewhat been a thorn in their side to make sure that there's representation in Northwest Indiana because they don't typically come up to our region. And so he has really been expressing with them, you need to get out here, we're doing good things. And then over time, our goal is to host the whole child summit for the state of Indiana, and she knows that we really want to do that. So we'll be partnering with them, and there's also a national opportunity that they're asking for pilot schools, and she specifically recommended Portage Township schools for that, for what's going on in this district. So exciting. Also, there is a safe arrival pilot program that's going on in the district. We're looking to enhance this for the fall so that our students, what occurs is now not just with the app of Here Comes the Bus, but our students will have, when they physically get on the bus and when they physically get off the bus, there will be opportunity for that parent to then receive a text message that says your child just exited the bus. Just the same, if your child tries to get off on a stop that is not their stop, it will alert you. So if there's a sub driver, or now Now, it takes a little bit of working on our end so that if one day a child is to go home to grandma's house and it's not their normal routine, we can make that happen and it's okay in the system. But it just helps parents. We've had a lot of parents this year who called and said, you know, I work downtown Chicago. She's out on the bus stop before it's light outside in the winter, and she's home before I am, and I have no service half the time. So if I could just have, you know, just a little bit of peace of mind as a single mom that my child's home and safe. I also want to commend Mr. Wilson because that parent in particular and several other parents, he has walked bus stops to make sure that students have a buddy system in place. If it's less convenient for our driver, that's okay if that means that child is not standing at a stop alone. So he's went to a lot of homes and the parents have really very much appreciated that. The boys track and field.
Sure. So that program the board purchased, was that something that existed all along or is that a new component of it?
It is something that has existed all along. One thing when
So we purchased it, and
What-
it was not being utilized.
you got it right. Mr. Lesich, when he talked about going through and now everything is under the same umbrella. For instance, we have something called VersaTrain, but we also have our routing system that's a different component. We have Synovia that's a different component. VersaTrans does all of these components, and most of these components are already components we're paying for. So Mr. Lesich worked with Dwayne Ellis, who oversees transportation, and those things are all housed under one umbrella now, supported by the IT department. Again, taking away that, you know, piecemeal. Just the same, we had Synovia to do our routing for the field trips because those are at different rates. And the board had tasked me with, you know, we want to know, do you really need all of these components? Or are we paying for some components that are unnecessary with different programs? The good news is we did do the month-to-month on those while doing the background auditing to see what we do and do not need. So now we're not under contracts with those individuals and we'll be shoring those things up in the fall. So again, talking about that whole idea of just being resourceful in our fiscal management and making sure that we have the fewer programs we have that we can run efficiently better off implements. And Mr. Ellis had expressed it now because he doesn't have 4 people running 4 different programs that all be the same program. Now they're going to be cross-trained so they all know every asset and facet of all of that program. So it's a great opportunity. The boys track and field team brought home their 3rd straight sectional championship. I want to congratulate the entire team and of course wish them the best of luck on their postseason. Bagley and Willow Creek are hosting their 6th grade orientation actually this evening. Our incoming 6th grade students and their families are there to learn more about their school. And we've also got a lot of community resource partners there, such as the Greater Good, who is there for our boys to men, and also our young ladies program for mentorships, as well as the Urban League is also participating in those this evening. One of our grant recipients received the sensory pathway, as you heard about. It was very interesting. This was one of the opportunities that Mrs. O'Frisco had shared with me, that it's just a matter of putting some vinyl on the floor and having our students have the opportunity to kind of get out that extra energy or just kind of self-regulate again with that mindfulness. So our interns took this to the next level. Our interns are going to have 2 sensory pathways in each elementary school. They are themed based on Indiana. So being that dragonflies, so the primary hallway in one school might have the dragonflies as they're swirling around and counting up. There's going to be some with the Junes. There's college and careers that are going to be at the middle school and high school. The great part in this is that once these are designed by our interns, then our students in the print shop are printing them, and it's only costing us approximately $100 for each pack. So it's a great opportunity for our students, and it really just showcases, how it just takes some research and a little bit of effort to find things that work for kids, and they really don't ask for much. So it's a great.
And I do want to say that I did not find that.
Is that Elizabeth, your
My
daughter?
daughter told me to give that
That's
to you.
right.
It's something that she's studying because she's in education at Purdue.
That's
I thought
right.
it was
That's
such a
right.
neat thing, and it's so It's not, you don't have to spend any money on it, works.
Yep.
So that was a program that she's
Yes, so our custodians will be stripping the floors and then the vinyls will go down and then they will wax over the top.
So
So
you can change it.
you can change
So
it.
that it doesn't become a thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can
Yes.
change it, which is nice.
It is great.
And you should, did you send a picture in the update? That picture? What it looks like?
I will send some.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you have to see it.
Yeah, you do. It's great. Also, I wanted to share with you that we are finalizing the summer learning camps for our students. We had 18 submitted. Mr. Grant has said that we can fund all of those camps for our students. There are opportunities kindergarten through 12th grade, and those camps are going to focus on students learning to cook, healthy snacks, exercise. There are camps with yoga. There are camps with robotics. Again, you know, we have the STEM Champs camps. We have the athletic camps. We also are partnering throughout the county for a special needs camp for our students who are in the life skills programs. So again, these were some opportunities brought forth, and it just made sense. And our students, their only fee is a $10 fee to cover their supplies. So it's a great opportunity.
So are we gonna use donations? Is that gonna be something that people can donate to if they want to, so kids who can't afford the $10 fee?
Yeah, yes, we can absolutely make that happen. Okay, yes.
And then will you let me know, because I'd like to.
Absolutely. I also wanted to share with the board that I have not forgotten about getting you the information on our professional development plan for 1920. We have been collecting the survey results from our support staff and the effectiveness of late start Wednesdays as well as the e-learning days. And we'll be sharing that with you. We also just sat down and crafted out our plan for 1920 with our teachers and principal leadership teams. So that will be forthcoming and some really helpful information for you to review. Let's see here.
So they're enrichment camps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they're enrichment camps, yes. Also, Willow Creek National Junior Honor Society held their blood drive, collected 35 pints of blood, and 11 of those came from first-time donors. And each donation, as you know, saves up to 3 lives. So those students organized that project-based learning opportunity and gave back to the community at the same time. And then I just want to commend the EDC, led by Mr. Maletta, and the partnership with North Shore as well. 70 students wrapped up Healthcare 360 with a tour of North Shore Health Center in Lake Station. Following the visit, families came to learn more about the patient and their child's options. Following high school, Ivy Tech was also directly involved in this and the various healthcare programs available on their campus. I want to again thank North Shore as well as St. Mary's Hospital, Porter Regional Hospital, Ivy Tech Valparaiso. The PHS guidance department was very, very involved in this, and Portage EDC. So the students had a blast. The feedback has been phenomenal. Pictures show the wealth of knowledge they received as well as the true engagement and motivation that it has helped them to just kind of explore those careers further as they will still be returning with us as high school students.
This was our third healthcare.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, Mr. Maletta, as a board member and also employee of the city, has been instrumental in doing the 360. And if I'm not mistaken, that wording did come from professional development also that you went to on a.
Yeah, well, the 360, the concept of the 360 was, we used to do where we would bring a bunch of businesses in, and the kids would come in to the commons area to be a free-for-all. And we said, you know, that's part of it. We said, if we take these kids out to these businesses, or in this case, healthcare facilities, and then when we're done with that, we take them to where they can get the training if they're interested in the job, and then tap the 360, the circle, by getting the parents involved to help them to guide the kids. So that's where that concept of the 360 came from. But I will say, you know, the first year we did it, the manufacturing, we've done manufacturing 3 years, and this fall we'll be doing the 4th year of that. This is the 3rd year at the healthcare. The counselors, didn't quite understand the program the first year, so I don't know if we had the right kids. But by now, year 3, we had the right kids. These kids were phenomenal. Spending the day with them, watching them interact. We had them in small groups, and we actually visited the 3 different healthcare facilities and saw different things at each one. The kids were engaged. They asked the right questions. I mean, we were just going, oh my God, it's all clicking. Everybody's understanding it now. And what I understand in the school, when kids were being invited to apply to go on this, some of them were asking, I don't know how I should do it. Other kids are saying, oh no, you want to go on that, because the word's getting out now.
Yes.
It's not a field trip. I mean, they're serious, they're getting there. It's hands-on, they're getting it, they're playing with a pig's heart in there. I mean, there's just various things. They're down in the basement looking at the people, somebody has to make sure all the equipment works. And so the various jobs, they were the right kids. I commend the counselors. They really, really did a great job this time. They did it. And now this program is becoming more robust. We got parents to come. We've always struggled to get parents at the end. We had a really good group of parents who came, and they got to interact with the healthcare facilities, talk about job shadowing. They got to talk to Ivy Tech. I just met with Purdue Northwest last week. They want to get involved now. And this program also is not just Portage. Chesterton's asked if they can copy it. They want to do a 360 program, so we've given them the templates for helping them develop. Rachel's inquired about it. So other communities, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to visit Kankakee Economic Development, Kankakee College in Illinois, to give a presentation because they've heard about the programs there and they want to know, how are you making this work? Because nobody can make this. A lot of the schools have a hard time working with the business community to be able to coordinate this, and they want to know, how did you guys make this work? So we're going to be giving a presentation there to help them too. So it's not just for us, it's the whole region. So it's really a cool program. But again, I commend the counselors. I was critical of them the first year, and I said, we're not getting the right kids, we're not getting the right kids. They got it figured out. They're doing a great job.
Very good. And the only other thing I had is a little, extremely exciting news. In our partnership with Ivy Tech, as well as our partnership with the Urban League, if you recall last spring, it was concerning when Urban League came before the board, and we were only at that point in time having them work with one of our buildings. They were only at Willow Creek. Well, they are back in our schools, and in particular now, I and the Urban League for the first time are partnering in a new capacity. We will have 2 college and career connection coaches that will work together between what students can receive grants, how do we help with application processes, how do we get you into a good fit job, how do we get you into a post-secondary experience, whether it be the trades or whatever else. And both of these organizations, Ivy Tech and the Urban League, are committed to providing us these college and career connection coaches free of charge. So they will be on our campus full time, and they will be providing our students and our families with the guidance that they need, and just opportunities that they don't know exist. And we're also going to be working with PNW as they do a lot of opportunities for our students to make sure that there is equitable access to opportunities post-secondary. So we're working with them as well.
And thank you again, Mr. Maletta, because I know anytime we did, the board went to professional development, that was always your passion. And, you made sure that you went to every seminar that you could and got best leading practices, and it's obviously showing now because they're coming to you, and you're going to them now, so thank you.
For the kids.
That's right. So does anybody have anything under other? Board member, does anybody in the audience have anything under other? No, hearing none, we can all enjoy our night. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, sure.